people of color, specifically Black people, feel like anything we have to fight for, right? Everything is a fight. But I think the difference now, we have, the advancements in technology that have allowed us to use our voices and amplify them and support each other in ways we've never seen before.
What's up, listeners of the Courageous Podcast? Now, I'm going to let everyone in on a little secret. When we record these podcasts, it's nice and simple for you. We want to stay between your ears. Maybe we're going on a run. Maybe you're in your car. But on my end, I make my poor guests turn on their video because I want to see my guests, and I also want to see what's not being said. Like I'm kind of fluid in subtext, and if that's where the conversation needs to go, that's where we're going to take it. Today, my guest is Walter T. Geer III. All right, to Walter. To me, you're just Walt. You're Walt, and Walt is now the executive creative director of VML Y&R. Prior to that, you were the SVP and group creative director of TBWA World Health. You got some Google time in there. You got some New York Times time in there. But let's get to the true juicy. Can I brag about you for a minute?
Oh, you're so kind, Ryan.
All right, here we go.
Go for it.
You know it was coming anyway at this point. So Adweek calls you one of the 50 most important people in media, marketing, and tech. Savoy Magazine's called you one of the most influential Black executives in corporate America. And personally, I mean, look, this is a show about courage, and we're going to keep it real. I like the Adweek shout out more because, frankly, to me, I don't see you as a talented Black guy. I see you as a talented guy, and even more important than that, just an overall good dude who's trying to do the right thing. So let's get to it, man. You ready?
Let's do it. Let's rock, man. I'm ready.
All right. So I did like my spiel there. That was a spiel. But how do you describe yourself? Like, what's the best way that if you're going to introduce yourself to the audience, how do you go about it?
Oh man, that's a good question. I've never been asked that question. You know what? I'm a creative, man. I'm a creative that sits in between technology, innovation, storytelling, and design, right? That kind of works out, trying to figure out, memorable, meaningful ways to engage people, man. I'm a creative at heart, but an individual who cares about others in terms of creating opportunity and space at the table.
Well, that last one is kind of how we met, right? I mean, it's been a bonkers. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Let me rephrase this. As a white man, here's what you can't see. If I'm in your ears right now, it's a white man interviewing a Black man. And it's typical for a white guy to sit here and say, from my lens, as a white dude, it's been a bonkers 1,000 days. It's been a bonkers 3 years. But shame on me for even thinking that. Honestly, but
no, I mean, truth is, it's been fucking crazy few years, right? For a lot of us, it's been longer than that for a lot of others, right? I mean, it's just the time we're in, man, is a wild one. It's a wild one for so many reasons, man.
So, do you feel like you're seeing change? Like, is it? Because if you don't follow Walt, I would check his shit out. And where I stumble into you the most and you stumble into me is probably LinkedIn. And I feel like you're always there with the right type of message and you're leading the charge. It's kind of a Spider-Man moment for you. And you're probably like, where's he going with this? With great power, right? What is it? Great power comes great responsibility. And you have a voice and you're using it, and then it's being echoed by a lot of others. Do you feel like you're at the tip of the spear and you're at peace with that now, letting people know that things need to change?
I don't know. Like, it's funny, people say, well, you're doing all this and that. Like, I don't really look at it as that. I don't look at myself as like, I think it was Adweek or Campaign Magazine. Like, they called me like, he's an activist. I don't even call myself that. Like, I'm like, there's a lot of people out there doing what I do. right? I think that I've been fortunate to been given a little bit of a stage and in a place to kind of use my voice, like some others have not been able to. It's people see what people see is the posts and the content, this and that. It's like, you got to realize, like, people are like, yo, how do you have time for this? Like, social media isn't really my thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I write posts when I'm in the moment. I'm not like a fucking curating my content, like, you know what I'm saying, like some social media people do. This is just like not me, right? So I'm very much in the moment. I write how I feel, post and whatever. If people dig it, so be it. But like, what people don't see is the tremendous amount of shit I get on the tail end of that, right? And I think at first it bothered me a lot. But I've come to a place of not really giving a shit. But like, bro, if you see the messages and the DMs and the hate and the shit that I get in my personal space, bro, like, you know, when like a year and a half ago, I had somebody leave a fucking pitchfork in the center of my front yard in front of my house. You know what I'm saying? I have people, you know, I had a woman email my executive leadership team, my global C-suite team, subject line, Geer is racist, doesn't hire white people. And like 15 paragraphs on shit that I said from this podcast to that fucking interview to this live, a lot of false shit. Anyone who knows me knows that's not me, but the downside is, or the side that people don't get is that, which has been, you know, tough at times, but you know, you got to roll with the punches, right?
So, you know, I love that you and I got to actually make something together this year. And I don't know, you're one of those guys where life is, you know, you have your life, I have my life. I'm trying to make cool shit. I'm trying to make a difference. You're trying to make cool shit. You're trying to make a difference. And we had an opportunity to share your story. It was an internal piece for Johnson & Johnson, and they want to be better. They truly want to be better. And so I sent my squad out to your house to shoot a piece and hear your story and learn why you do what you do. And exactly what you just said about the pitchfork, like, that is to me absurd. Like, the way your feedback on the video, and as a creative, I know how hard this is, had nothing to do with the content other than you got to take these parts out to make sure people don't know exactly where I live. You got a family.
Yeah.
To me, is this your normal now?
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird. It's I had to, have a real conversation with my wife. Was like, yo, like, we have to take our content, our stuff down. Like, our address is like all over places. We have to take it down. I had to reach out to companies and pull stuff. Like, my wife doesn't even use her full last name on social media or on LinkedIn. You know, people are crazy. But like, this speaks to the time we're in, man. It's like, and while, you know, I've come to this place of feeling like, you know, this is like par for the whole, right? But it's also like, you know, I understand that if people are acting in that manner, then that means I might be doing something right. Right. And we're in a moment where everyone is like, not just me, but there are people who don't like what I say that are using their voice too. I can count out countless people, you know, on LinkedIn that say shit that's totally, you know, unfortunate and not right. But this is the world we live in today, man.
So I'd love to sort of toggle back and forth between just like personal stuff and then also professional. And I don't think we have to have like, and now we're going to talk about professional stuff. Like, let's just kind of see where the conversation goes. But to me, that idea that you have to spend extra energy on, again, from a white dude, what seems like, I mean, I've never felt threatened to leave my house. Right? Like, what did it for me, my light bulb moment on all of this, I live in Southern California. So I live in a bubble in a bubble. Like, there's a lot of white people where I live, right? And to me,
Cali's nice though.
Cali's nice, you know. I mean, Cali's not so bad, but to me, it was the Aubrey moment. That's the one that got me. That is the one that short-circuited me, and I realized, like, my bubble in a bubble of whiteness, like, the safe confines of San Diego, right? But then a 25-year-old dude just going out for a run in South Georgia.
Yeah.
And that was the one where I was like, I've never, ever felt threatened to leave my house for a run, with the exception of the threat of my own brain reminding me how much I hate running. And like, how has this become okay? And It's not okay, obviously, but we keep seeing it over and over again. And so that's the one that really was like, wait, how do I do something? Like, how do I be part of the solution? And maybe, I don't know, do you feel like since you were 6, 7 years old, this has been your normal, and just like, you got to find delicate ways to let white people like me know, like, well, welcome to my world? Like, what's your take on all this?
It's, look, this is something that many people who look like me have kind of grown up experiencing and seeing firsthand. I can tell you times where I came home and, I could, like the back of my hand, seeing Rodney King on live news, right? And being in my bedroom with my parents, watching my TV, like, oh my God, what is happening? Times where I was, I remember when I was 15 going to a kid's birthday party that was at a hotel. They had like a couple hundred people there, and like a fight broke out. So people left, and then they're outside, people were loitering around the hotel. So they were trying to get people to leave, and being outside, and a fight broke out, then stopped. And then everyone was just hanging there for like another half an hour later. And like before being asked to vacate the spot by police, having a big truck pull up that said K9 on the back, doors open, they just start attacking people. Like this is shit that I've experienced for a long period of time. Not to say that it is okay by any means, but like, we've seen these stories play out. We've seen people protest. We've seen, and many times I think the people of color, specifically Black people, feel like anything we have to fight for, right? Everything is a fight. And so it's stressful, but we as a people have also been, in this kind of situation where like, we're always fighting for everything we want, right? But I think the difference now over the past couple of years is we have, the advancements in technology that have allowed us to use our voices and amplify them and support each other. It's like one person in their fucking bedroom does a post to Twitter with a hashtag, and then you can set the world on fire. So, I think we're in this moment that's special for a lot of reasons, because I think that people have become, empowered, right? They feel like I can use my voice. I do this thing called freedom of speech and say the things that I want. But it's also difficult because, while we're continuously fighting again now in this social space and asking for space, it's dealing with others doing the same thing. And it's tough, man. I don't know. I don't know where a solution lies, right? But I do know that it's important that as many of us as possible speak up for what is right and what's wrong, right? What's just and what's not.
It's funny. I moved to California. So I was in New York City forever, and learned from all the crazy admin people, probably like you, and have really good mentors on how to tell us great stories. But I thought I was done with the business. And, for a long time before I had kids, I was of the mindset of I'd rather entertain 2.2 million people than have 2.2 kids. And then you have kids and that changes a little bit, right? But but one of the shows I wanted to come up with was a concept called DSA. Not USA, DSA, right? And it took place in the future, Divided States of America, and the whole idea was like 20 years down the line, 50 years down the line, and now it was so bad, like what groups would take what states. And as a Jewish guy, we're trying to take New York. We're going to take New York. Like who's going where in the DSA, basically. And it's sort of a sad concept, like that we really can't figure out a way, right? And like you said, we're all throwing grenades in social media and like even the hate commentary that's going to your leadership team or to you. Like, and they're hiding behind an anonymous name. And you said, like, where's the solution? Well, you're a problem slayer. You get paid to come up with solutions. So what do you think, like, the strategy, if you got a creative brief on this, what would the brief say?
Oh my God, man. I don't even know. That's a good question. I mean, wow, that's huge. I mean, but here's what I think is interesting about why you said that, right? It's like we have all these, we back down on a lower level into like diversity in advertising or diversity in these spaces, right? It's actually funny that like we tackle briefs every fucking day for for like multi-million dollar, $100 million campaigns. And you'd think that someone would say, hey, how do we create a brief around tackling the problem of diversity in the space? I mean, look, when I look at it, it's how do we create a level playing ground that allows people to feel they are on par with everyone else, that, you know, equality, right? Like that's what people want. Like people want to be seen as equals.
And yet I'm not sold. This is part of the problem. I think I'm a fairly conscious, I'm not a robot, right? Because our business forces us to pay attention. But I think a lot of people are robots. They're kind of just walking through life, and their awareness levers are low. And I don't think a lot of people see it. So like, how do you short circuit them? I mean, I think that's what the brief is, right? Like, or is the opposite. I mean, look, this is not a small place. There's 340 million people. I wonder, I mean, I don't have an answer on this. I just wonder, like, is it 1% or no? Or is it like, no, Ryan, you're back in your bubble in San Diego. You're off your rocker. It's 50% of people that are, what is it?
I don't know. I don't know that I could put a finger on it, but I can say this. It's like, you know, when you ask, like, you know, what do you do to get someone to kind of, you know, believe or feel a certain way? It is the same way when we tell stories, man, in creative, right? In an advertising space, right? You create something that elicits an emotion, right? It's one thing to tell someone, hey, dude, like if you play the lottery, you could be a fucking millionaire. It's an entirely different thing to say, hey, check this guy out and see this guy's story of like rags to fucking riches because he signed one thing. 15 minutes later, now this guy's driving a fucking Lambo. He's sitting in a house with like 55 acres. When you see someone experiencing something, and it's why like we look back into, you know, the murders over these past couple of years, and like everyone had this wake up moment. Because every single person was home. Like, and granted, like, I'd hate to say this, but like, if we weren't in this pandemic, it probably wouldn't even have blown up the way it did, right? Because people would be in their life doing their thing, traveling to places, going back and forth to work. But when we're all home and we see this happen, I think for a lot of people, that was that moment of eliciting an emotion, that moment of saying, oh shit, this is crazy, right? So it took the world stopping for the world to see something, right? That has been happening for so long. So that when we say like, how do we create, you know, how do we influence people? How do we create change? I think it's getting people to understand the situations we're in or how we feel by allowing people to share their stories, right? Because I think just stories go so far.
I mean, I think that's why we both love stories, like what a story can do for somebody. And, and by the way, I also think, you know, let's say that 50% of the audience listening right now come from storytelling, marketing, creativity. We'll just call it that for today. Don't you think if there was a brief for the pandemic, like for us, it's like, this is just another day. Like the client said, we have to wear a mask, so you got to wear a mask now. And I almost feel bad for the button down and khakis people who've never had to deal with this. Do you see it that way too? Like we're most qualified for the chaos of a pandemic.
For the job. Yeah, dude, I'm loving this, man. Look, I haven't cut my hair in like fucking 2 months almost, man. I'm looking, no one can see right now, but I'm looking really homeless. You know? I'm
jealous. I wish I could cut my hair. I got no hair to cut over here. But all right, so let's talk about this from a professional standpoint. So I mean, we kind of touched it at the beginning, but do you feel like it's actually changing in the boardroom? Like, are you seeing, I mean, do you feel like I'm the only black dude in this room, or is that changing now? Or are you seeing a difference?
So, yeah. So, I mean, I'm seeing some difference in some places, some, not all, right? I think that, you know, I'll speak to my agency, VMLYNR, right? I think that we've hired quite a bit of talent, people of color over here. I can tell you as a fact that when I get on my calls, whether it be, you know, my clients like Pfizer or Walgreens and so on and so forth, like I see I always see another person of color, specifically several Black people on my calls, on my teams, right? So I definitely see it and feel it. I think that when we look at the industry as a whole, however, we're not where we're seeing a lot of change, and this is a continuous thing, right? Is like at the lower levels, some happening at the mid level, and a very small few at the senior level, right? So, I look at, even when I look at my agency, like we have like 14,000 people, like, so like changing numbers is really difficult, but I think that you can go into any office or any brand, building and see very quickly whether this feels diverse or not, right? Just by simply looking around, right? So I think numbers make it a little difficult, but I'll say that, look, it's, I would have wished that we had seen a little more change than we have, but like, and I say this because yesterday, I went back, and every like 4, 5, 6 months, I look through my list of diversecreatives.com and I look at the talent, and I go around and hit up friends, and we were up to like 7 or 8 Black ECDs in the entire, agency space within a holding agency a few months ago. And now we're back down to 7. We're down to 7, 1 left to go to freelance. And then I believe at the time we were up to 2 chief creative officers that were Black, and now we're down to 1. Right. So, there's still, like, you go and search both jobs. Like in ECD, you search for holding agencies in the United States, you'll find at around maybe 50, 60,000, hands down, easy. Right. So, we still have the same problems. And I think that part of that is very much like what we're seeing play out in the NFL. Right.
I was going to bring it up.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's a very, very similar thing. It's like, okay, we're going to do this diversity stuff. All right. And like that version of the Rooney Rule version of what we see in these companies, right, and agencies and so forth, is that fucking one thing that we fill out when we do the application, gender, male, female, race, ethnicity, right? And it's like, and so they're tracking that clearly because they're giving that back to the government or whomever needs it. But that in many cases is a check on the box. Like, I can't tell you, and I did a post about this the other day, like I've mentored countless people who like went through interview process for weeks, right? And then just like nothing. People that were so talented and nothing. So like, it's a bigger problem that still has yet to be truly solved. But I think that, again, and I say this till I'm blue in the face, and I've said this over the past few years, we will see the change in a lot of these companies if you bring those people to senior levels. Like when you start to see C-suites that are, people of color, even disabilities, because let's be honest, we talk about diversity, no one fucking talks about disabilities, right? And that's real,
See, I wonder if it's, I'm trying to do what we do in our business, right? Like, I'm going to extract myself from the situation and observe the situation, try to figure out like rationale on how did this actually happen. Yeah. So, both the NFL scenario and like, okay, let me just humor myself and say I'm back at big agency, right? I'm back in a big company, and I think it's like old boys club still. Another way to say that isn't to vilify old boys club. It's to say, when I was coming up in the business, the people that I could really trust who are my level as we've grown. And you're right. Like, I can't remember a Walter sitting next to me. It was another white guy. So is it like, okay, this problem is going to get solved. It just might take 20 damn years until there's genuine trust with the people on your left or your right. I like Derek Walker. I love him. I could have it like, yeah. I love Derek. This is what he said. My favorite thing that Derek says, like, your iPhone should have won the Nobel Peace Prize. Like, because now that we can record everything, we're seeing shit that's always happened. It's always been there. Yeah. Very Derek. But if you and I started in an office together, and I'm like, oh shit, Walt knows he's talented. We're back to what I said at the top. You're not a talented black man, you're talented. Is that what it's going to take, is like building real relationships and trust?
Yeah, I get that, because I do. Let's, to be real, it's like, I'm sure that there's a lot of people who really do believe in making change and whatnot. But to your point, there's people who started companies and been together since they were in high school, right? And that is what it is. That doesn't necessarily mean you can't make spaces at table, though, right? They're like, look at how many. I can tell you so many co-presidents, co-CCOs, co-CMOs. You can create room if you want to create room, right? But sadly, I've come to this place of like I continue to fight because I know that the words I say and the things that I do are creating some type of change, not as fast as I'd like, right? But I'm one person. There's many of me who do the same. But my point though is that when I don't know that we will see that type of change until like our children are coming up, because I think that our children, my daughter's 7, like her generation, like her friends are white, black, yellow, like every fucking color, right? And they don't see that. Now, granted, there's, we are taught at an earlier age to hate, to dislike and things of that nature. But I do think there's something different about that generation, their access to technology, for like born with an iPhone in their hand, right? Like, I think that the change we're going to see is coming, but not right now, right? In the generations to come. I mean, I wish to God I could be alive for it, but I don't know. Right.
Yeah, but you're right. Like, I think, I always, look, the platform's courage, right? So you can't get to courage without auditing the fear first. So where's the, do we address fear or do we suppress fear? So a lot of my business right now is more leadership stuff. And I'm just a translator, like trying to help the leader understand what's important to the next generation. And I found myself saying this quite a bit that mirrors that exact point. Like to the older leader, it's change. To the next generation, it just is. It just is.
Yeah, it is. Love that.
It just, yeah. Right. It just is. It's like, guess what? I know you don't know how to look at 11 screens at one time. That's normal for them. Like it just is. Right. And so they're privy to all these conversations. They wear their values on their sleeves. And I even say, like, if you look at that next generation as entitled, that's a data point on you. Like, boy, nothing makes me want to work for you by you calling me entitled, by the way. Just can't wait to stick around and give you my all. And so I'm with you. I think it's just going to take time as much as we wish it could go faster, because the next generation's looking at the world very differently.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My hope, though, throughout that wait is that we have disruptors and people who stand up, right, for what's right, who speak for what's right. And I know that that's very difficult, right? Like, I know it's funny because like people always say like, well, like, how do you do what you do? Do you feel comfortable? Yeah, I feel comfortable. But I also am in a space where I get that type of support, right, from my CEO, from my CMO, and people who believe in what I say. There's many people who, white and black, right, can't go out on social media and just blast shit just because there's just that fear of like, oh, damn, like this might look bad on me, or this like cost me my job. I've kind of gotten to the point of not really giving a fuck, like everyone's got that like grandparent that's like, yeah, Uncle So or whatever grandpa says, is like really doesn't give a shit. Like he's gonna say some left stuff, don't take it personal. Like I feel like I've gotten to that point. I feel like I've gotten to that point in my life. Like I really don't care. But like even like, when I called out Marc Pritchard, right? Like that's a lot of money coming into WPP, right? And like they were like, cool, rock it, do it, so support is necessary.
I mean, there's a lot in there. And I want to talk about the Pritchard situation for people that don't know what the heck we're talking about. But I'm going to give, I don't interpret it exactly like, fuck it, I'm going to go there. Like, I actually think you're so laser clear on what's important to you. And I only know this not because I'm a mind reader, but because we did the piece on Johnson & Johnson. And I know that every decision you make, you have your daughter at the front of, and the type of world that you hope you can help make a dent on so it's better for her. And so you might be like, I don't really give a fuck. Yeah, because it's that clear that everything you're doing is about laying the work for the type of world you hope that she has. And I mean, it's I don't want people to feel it's a throwaway. There's clarity in why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think it's hard for an adult or a person who doesn't have a child to understand what the power of a child does to a person, how it changes you, your perception on life, your feeling on things. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's entirely it. It's like, yes, I've come to a place of not giving a shit in terms of saying what I have to say, doing what I have to do because it is what it is. But also, to your point, yes, I mean, it's knowing that the things that I'm doing are help setting up a foundation, for her. Definitely.
All right, give the audience a little color behind the Marc Pritchard, like the whole thing. Cause when I started like Great Power, Great Responsibility, I was thinking about, okay, I mean, you're calling out a pretty big rock star leader in marketing, and then I think you did it for the right reasons. And then a whole lot of people were like, yeah, where are you on this conversation? And they're responding. And so just from your lens, like, how did it all go down? And maybe let people know who Marc even is.
Yeah. So Marc Pritchard is what some would consider the most powerful man in the world of advertising, right? Powerful because he works at the largest brand and the biggest spender in the world, which is P&G, Procter and Gamble. So he is their global CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, and basically holds like tons of money, right? That everybody wants access to. So, I mean, Marc, genuinely good guy who's making massive amounts of change. And why I reached out to him on social media was a simple one. It's that this is also a guy that holds so much power, like what he says goes, right? It's like done. So I had done a post about him, tagged him on LinkedIn, and essentially said, hey, look, like, all you have to do is say one thing and you can change the entire industry, which essentially is anyone who wants to touch my business has to set these numbers up in terms of diversity across the organization. And if they can't hit it by this date, then they will no longer have my business. And that is a fact that if he said that, everyone would be like, done. And like the whole fucking industry would change overnight, right? All their clients, and then everyone follows what P&G does. So then you just see every other organization do the same thing, right? It would be a massive ripple effect. Of course, my agency saw it and everyone's like, okay, cool. Like, all right, they know that I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I'm sure that some of them behind the scenes were like, oh, fuck. Like, this is like, now we're fucking with our money. And he reached out to me a little while after that on LinkedIn, candidly. He was like, hey, let's talk. Let's hop on the phone. We got on the phone. We had about a 20-30 minute call. He got where I'm coming from, understood who I am as a person. He told me some of the things that they've been working on and some of the things he hadn't really said publicly. And I asked him, why don't we do it in public? And he agreed. And so we had a conversation. It was super insightful. The things that came out of that were pretty wild and unexpected for a lot of people, but a positive thing that, afterwards, I can tell you like countless C-suites from Omnicom and, WPP, everyone reached out saying how they shared that conversation with like their entire staff. So it was a good learning experience. And again, why I do a lot of those is because, it's about transparency, right? You're able to have these transparent conversations with people who make a real impact in the industry and them talking about what it is they're doing and not doing enough or what they need to do to be better and asking of their brands and clients to do the same.
I mean, on a personal level, I think courage breeds courage, right? Like when you're courageous, which you were and you are, it makes it easier for you to stay curious and keep going down that path. But do you feel like progress was made on that call? Like, are you happy with what you've seen, or like, I'm curious here if you feel like it did make a difference. We are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, so one thing I thought that was the most powerful part of that conversation was when he had said this once before about a year and a half ago, then it got buried, no one talked about it. So I brought it up again, was the fact that this is a guy who is of Mexican descent. Not many people think that. You look at him, you think, oh, this guy's a white guy. He had said that he basically hid his ethnicity for 30 years of his career. And that if he had not done that, he would never have the job that he has today. It was very clear and candid about that. And went into kind of just detail about that, his experience. And his father was an immigrant and working on a farm and everything in Colorado. And what was important about that was it was important for other white executives to see this and say, holy shit. Because it's one thing for other people to say, oh yeah, because of the black, I didn't get it. But this is a guy who made it, like top guy in the world, who literally said, wouldn't be here if you knew I was Mexican, and that he had hit it for his entire life. So I think that was impactful and I think insightful. Like it was that was a learning experience for all. And even the fact that this guy, for all the people who were on that watching, right, people who touch his money, for that guy to basically come out at the end of the conversation and say that, multicultural isn't like, it's what did he say? Oh God, I forgot the word he said. Multicultural is, I forgot the word he used. Basically, he was saying like, it's like multicultural marketing is like global marketing, right? Like if you're going to be marketing to anyone, like it's all multicultural. So to kind of like piecemeal that off as like a separate thing is like so far from beyond what anyone should be doing. I forgot the exact words, but it was a powerful moment, a few moments in there for people to listen in and say, wow, okay, I get it.
All right. I like to, like, every once in a while, this is my own need to stay creative. I always see myself, I'm not a business guy, I'm a creative business guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I wish more business people knew what creativity could do for the bottom line, and I wish more creatives knew how to make money, and so I try to stay in that space. So this is one of the things I like to do, is create these little business haikus. And
before you go there, you want me to show you something? So
Absolutely.
I'll show you something that we can't show the listeners, so you can't say, but I'll show you who I'm going to call out on Monday.
Okay. And I can't say. Can I?
You can't say.
Okay.
You can't say, but you can speak. You can speak to what you think.
Okay.
Because it may or may not. Because it may or may not happen.
Hold on, I'm trying to look at who it is. Oh wow. Yeah. I'm excited for that one. All right. And by the way, off of that, knowing what you're doing, we'll make sure this goes Thursday. So this will go next week. So this will go next week to amplify that. Now, I'm really interested to hear your point of view. Sorry for those people that are, you were in your ears. I'll just say it's a juicy one, and it's a good one. And I'm really interested to see how you continue to further this conversation. But I also want you to, like, when I think of you, I mean, your content's double, right? Like, you get paid to make content for others, and then you have your own content. If you had to choose one, which would you choose?
Like, I just do this for me, man. You know what I mean? Like I don't, like, honestly, so here's the thing. People get in our space. It's so easy to get caught up with money, title, your house, your car, material shit. I genuinely, honest to God, don't give a shit about any of that. The only thing I give a shit about, honestly, is sneakers. I'm the worst with fucking sneakers. My closet is ridiculous. Like J1s, 3s, 11s, right? That's me. But I'm in like H&M t-shirts and fucking Levi's jeans that cost no more than $50, and I'm getting a sale, right? The 2 for $60 or 2 for $79, whatever it is. But like, my point is that, like, I don't care about money, man. Like, I think when you start to focus on the money and the things you get, like it clutters your way of thinking and your approach to things, right?
Yeah,
so
but did you ever? I'm not calling you out. I'm genuinely asking. The irony, right? Like, our business, we get paid to move products and tell stories, and when you got into it, has the stance changed, I guess?
No, I think over time, yeah, because at first all I gave a shit about was like money, making things. But like, as a creative, I think that what every single one of us has deep down in every one of us is, you just want to create something that everyone fucking sees, that everyone fucking touches, that everyone loves or hates for a particular reason. That's what I care about. Like, I like to do shit that I can know, like, millions of people fucking saw it and they loved it and it made it do a thing, right? Like, I don't care that I drove a person into a fucking seat at a movie theater or feet in a pair of sneakers, but what I care about is I created something that made someone feel a certain way, right? That's why, like, I love presenting on stage and some shit, because like, when I'm on stage and I talk about creative and innovation, like, I want to make you cry. I want to make you feel a certain way. I want to make you feel excited. That is the most powerful source of energy to me.
It was super connected on that. And again, I think it's also like, as you get older and it all slows down a little bit and you like really think back to what you want to be known for. Well, that's a good place for us to, I think, end is, all right. So for the listener, let's say, and I'd love for you to do this and address, give the listener, a white listener and a black listener, each of them, one thing that they can take away from this conversation, one thing that they could do. If I'm a white leader or a black leader, what's one thing each can do they could extract and start doing right now?
Yeah, I think the easiest one is, and this is, we were just talking about this, but I fall back into mentorship, right? Because I think when you take the opportunity to mentor someone or teach someone something that you've learned, that costs you nothing. It costs you some time, but nothing out of your pocket, right? And I think that mentorship goes so far, right? You can create so much opportunity out of that. But I also say too that it's easy to make a connection, right? And I say connections because there's plenty of times when people say, hey, I saw this job. Can you get me to the right person? Can you do this? Like connecting someone costs me nothing. Like nothing comes out of my pocket. And I think that's mutually is beneficial for a lot of people. But I'd say I'd lean back on the mentorship, man. Just help people, help one person, right? Like I did a post on that. Like I asked my entire network, I don't know, like a month or two ago, if they could actually, mentor 2 or 3 people, this one week. And that whole thread just took off. And I had like CCO of Walmart, CCO of TBWA, like every fucking agency, all these huge brands jump in and say, hey, I'm willing to help. And out of that, must have been like a couple hundred people were actually, mentored that week from a single post. Like that stuff makes a massive difference in someone's life, man.
So the same advice, mentorship or connection?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Cool.
All right.
It's something we all can do.
I appreciate you, man. Any final words? Any questions for me? What do you got? Anything?
No, what I can say is, look, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do, and you give me your platform and other people your platform. You're a real one, man. And I only hope and wish that we have more people who stand up and do what's right, like yourself, man. So you create room and space for people to use their voice, their messaging, and so on and so forth. And that's powerful, man. So thank you. I appreciate you, Ryan.
Oh, come on, man. I'm glad you have something to say. Right? And keep going, and it's kind of a love fest. I root for you too, and I hope we can find something else to do together at some point. Even though you're on the East Coast with good pizza and bagels, I'm stuck out here and with the warm weather and fish tacos in San Diego. Walt,
you got all the vegan restaurants and everything, man.
I'm trying, by the way. Vegan's not going to happen, but I did promise my family, my kids are like, don't you like that cute little piggy? I'm like, oh, here we go. So I'm trying to go pescatarian this year. I'll keep you posted on how I do. All right, well, thanks for joining, man. Be good.
I appreciate you, man.